Iron Supporting Food Banks collects food and cash donations for needy families in Newham Borough and beyond. Please consider making a donation via their Just Giving page, the link for which you will find in the description section of this stream. Come on, you Irons.
West Ham are massive, everywhere we go. West Ham are massive, everywhere we go. Everywhere we go. West Ham are massive, everywhere we go. West Ham are massive, everywhere we go. Everywhere we go.
Good evening. Welcome back to the West Ham Massive. Thanks for joining us. Please don't forget, as I always ask you to do, to like, comment on, and share this stream to our social media platforms, to your social media platforms, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're new around here. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for alerts and new content. And just as I hit go live on a stream, my dog starts barking. You couldn't make this stuff up. This is live streaming, ladies and gentlemen, at its very best. And we always thank you very much indeed for your support.
I thought it was Diane.
No, she's coming back from work. At least I hope she is, because I'm getting hungry. So anyway, right. I can edit this bit out. No one will ever know. Anyway, Premier League match day 5 of 38. The preview this is of West Ham United versus Chelsea. The match taking place tomorrow at London Stadium. Keep your eye on the ticker at the bottom. It will change intermittently with certain little facts that are pertinent to the match, such as the match officials like that. Joining me this evening is my younger brother, Ben. How are you, sir?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. And looking forward to the game tomorrow.
Brilliant. Good to hear. Damien's already put a prediction in. He's not too optimistic by the looks of things.
We've got pessimistic bastard.
We've got Larry in from Lexington as always. Larry, good evening to you. Hope you've got plenty of meat for the barbecue, and I'll be expecting photographs when you fire it up, my friend. And GP's in there, and I love your avatar, mate. Oh, and look, he's even given us a prediction of a Desmond.
He's gone for the Desmond.
A Desmond can't be bad. Right, I'm also going to press a couple of little buttons here because I've got a little presentation that will play momentarily. So I'm going to add that to the screen like that. And I've set it to autoplay, so I don't have to fanny around with the buttons. It can be quite distracting. So anyway, Ben, we're obviously here to discuss this. So the first question that we normally start with straight out of the gate, what are your thoughts and observations on Chelsea so far this season?
To be honest, Rob, I was just having a look prior to this. I've not actually seen them play this season yet under the new manager, but it looks like they've made a reasonable start to the season. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, they beat Bournemouth 1-0 first game, and then drew against Palace at home, which is probably a bit disappointing. They then smashed Wolves 6-2 away, which is obviously a great result. And then City have done them in the last game. Do you know what? It's going to be a tough game. It always is when we play them. But I'm confident that we can get a positive result if we go about our business in the right way. But they're a bit hit and miss, Rob. They're not a consistent side, are they? You know, they can, like I say, they've just done Wolves 6-2, but then you just don't. They're a bit of a mixed bag, and with the new manager, so many new players. I don't think they're the Chelsea of old. Do you know what I mean? And I think we can get at them tomorrow.
I think it was quite odd, personally, that they dispensed with the services of Mauricio Pochettino, because I thought the latter end of last season, it looked to me like they were just starting to understand the style of football he wanted to play, and it was starting to gain some traction. And I actually, during the back end of last season, the run that they were on, I actually sort of thought, if they can do a shrewd bit of business in the summer and really sort of kick on from here, I wasn't sort of like thinking, oh, they're going to be Premier League contenders, but I certainly thought they could be in the shake-up for the top four. And then they obviously jettisoned him and brought in Enzo Maresca, who obviously got Leicester to win the championship last season. untested at a top level like this. He's got a connection to West Ham because he was a coach under, if I remember correctly, it was under Pellegrini, if I remember rightly.
Mm.
But, it seems to be one of these things that if you've got any sort of connection in a coaching sense to Pep Guardiola,
Yeah.
like Mikel Arteta, for instance, it seems to me you get sort of pulled in by clubs just simply off of the back of that. But he's obviously come in, as you say, they've been a little bit they obviously got beat by City, they smashed Wolves, they drew against Palace, they got a narrow win against Bournemouth. So it's been sort of like quite streaky in terms of their sort of output.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've got more points on the board than we have, Rob. So look, I agree with you. I mean, Pochettino is probably one of the best managers in the world. If you was talking top 5 managers globally, he's probably in contention. So the fact that they binned him off and brought in Maresca, who, like you say, has never been tested at the top level, I wouldn't be surprised if come the end of the season, Maresca is not the manager at Chelsea. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like he could easily get swallowed up if they don't have a good start to the season. But I just think you can get at them. Do you know what I mean? I look at their defence. I don't think it looks particularly great. They've spent a lot of money, but also, Rob, I know that 6-2 kind of is a bit of a freak result, but I feel like they're not. There's a lot of the time with that Nicholas Jackson up front. He can be, on his day he could get a hat trick, but I think they're a little bit toothless. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they can just pass it around, and sometimes they could be out there all day and they're not really scoring the goals. But I mean, those stats would tell you otherwise. But obviously that 6-goal, the 6-goal one is skewing that slightly. But out of the games they played, like the other 3, granted one is against City, but still, they scored 0 and then 1 goal, and 1 goal. So I just think with the attacking weapons we've got in our armoury, I personally think they should be more worried about us than we are about them.
Fair analysis, Ben. So we come to the next question. So, in your opinion, who is the opposition's key player? Who's the one that we're really going to have to sort of really shackle down on to maximise our chances?
Oh, mate. I mean, look, there's one player that jumps out, and that's Cole Palmer. I think what a class player. I mean, was he player of the year last season?
I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah,
I mean, he, coming in from City, where he was sort of a bit of a bit part, and you didn't. I mean, in no way did I think he'd be Chelsea's main player. Do you know what I mean? I thought he might be a little bit in and out. I mean, the guy's just scored he scored in the final of the Euros for us. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the result, but I think he's a real threat. So, our midfielders, Alvarez and whoever's in there is going to have to do a bit of a job on him. Like you say, he's already got 4 assists in we're only 4 games in. So, that tells me he's a top player, and we need to keep the shackles on him big time.
I've just had a thought that's popped into my head, and I'm literally just doing it. So if you're not watching on YouTube, get across to the YouTube channel, because what I'm doing literally as we speak, I'm doing setting up a poll, and it's just a simple question: West Ham v Chelsea, home win, away win, draw, and you can obviously cast your vote. And before we finish this, we'll have a look and see what the poll says. But I have literally just done that on the YouTube channel. So any of you guys that are watching this live, please cast your vote. And if you're watching this on any other platform other than YouTube, please get yourself across to the YouTube channel and cast your vote, and we'll have a look at what that says before the end. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Ben. I think that the standout player for me, I mean, I put him on the thumbnail. Cole Palmer. I think he's an excellent talent. And I remember there was, and I don't know how serious, whether it was just a passing comment that I saw in an article somewhere a couple of years back. But I remember someone mentioned Cole Palmer when he was at City, and sort of like linked him to us, could we get him on a loan deal, this, that, and the other, because people thought that we would never be able to get him on a permanent, because he had such a sort of like a glowing reputation at City, but he just, as you say, he never really, for whatever reason, made the breakthrough. Now, look, they've got world class players at City, and it's probably not very easy for a young local lad to break in. Who's that good-looking chap? But it's he obviously has
That's
gone
me.
to Chelsea. Eh?
Oh, what, in the top left?
Yeah. That sort of like, he looks like he's just come out of court. Anyway, yeah, Cole Palmer, brilliant player. I think that he's one of the best he's one of the best young English players in the Premier League for me. I don't really see there's too many ahead of him, but there you go. But that's my starting 11. I'll tell you what we'll do before we go too much further into proceedings. I'll just give you my thoughts on this, Ben, and then obviously you can sort of chop in and give us your 11, which may or may not be identical to this. Now, as far as team news is concerned, as far as West Ham are concerned, we have to obviously sort of document that. Obviously, that 11 that I've got there hinges on the fitness of two players, and that's Emerson Palmieri. And I didn't want that to do that, so let me just sort of come out of there. Emerson Palmieri and obviously Nicholas Füllkrug, who are going to have late fitness tests, and obviously we'll see where that sort of takes us. But if they're fit, then I would play them. But I would shake things up a little bit, because I think I would put Somerville on the left. I would put Bowen back into his favoured position on the right if Füllkrug is fit. If he's not fit, then I actually might even consider keeping Bowen on the right and actually starting Danny Ings. I don't really sort of have that much of a problem with it. But I would move Kudus a little bit more centrally, having put Somerville on the left. Then I think that offers you the opportunity. Everybody's been clamouring for it now. Whether his slightly ineffective start to the season has been because of position or any other factors, okay, let's be the reed that bends with the wind. Let's move him inside a little bit more central, give him a little bit more license to roam, and see what damage he can do. I would play Paquetá ahead of Souček. I know that they have their own individual attributes, and you could sort of make a case for either one of them, and it could be quite compelling. But I think I would probably just lean towards Paquetá, a little bit more craft. It wasn't lost on me, and it wasn't just me that saw it. That midfield three against Fulham of Alvarez, Rodriguez, and Souček, again, very, very similar players to a large degree. Not the most mobile central midfield. So I think we need a little bit more mobility. I think we need a little bit more craft. So having Alvarez at the base and Paquetá and Kudus just slightly ahead, I think that's something that could work. It could be complete madness, of course. It could be get ripped asunder by the Chelsea midfield. But what's your thoughts, Ben?
I like it, Rob. I think, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's interesting because, Lopetegui is still finding his feet. We don't really know what the best team is. I think like the defence is pretty much picking itself up, other than Mavropanos or Todibo. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, that's a bit of a toss up between the two of them. I'd be thinking Areola in goal, Wan-Bissaka. I'd probably keep Mavropanos and Kilman, and Emerson on the left. I actually, I'm not really seeing Todibo in training, but obviously, I think defensively we've been all right this season so far. I mean, I know you can, pick holes in players, and Mavropanos might have been a little bit all over the place. Well, we've still not conceded that many, so I think it's still fairly solid. The midfield is where we're tinkering still, aren't we? We don't really know what our best midfield is. So me personally, I'd probably be looking at Alvarez, Paqueta, and Soler.
Okay.
Give that a go, because I think Soler does look a classy operator. Obviously, he come on, got some minutes under the belt. He's then had a bit more time to acclimatise. Look, Paqueta needed a bit of a kick up the arse, but there's no doubt that he's our ball player. You know what I mean? And against Chelsea, we're going to need to keep the fucking ball. And I think he's got to play. It's harsh on WHUCHE, because I do love him a bit. So I think he scores goals. He's got us out of jail. But, it's not to say he might not come off the bench and influence the game. And then the front three is a difficult one. I mean, I'm with you, Rob. If Füllkrug is fit, I would start Füllkrug. And personally, I know, these people might find this a bit of an odd one. If Füllkrug's fit, I'd go Bowen, Füllkrug, and Somerville. So, I mean, that is omitting Kudus. That's not to say he couldn't come on, but I don't think Kudus has been at it this season yet. And I think Somerville has come on and had a few chances, so I think he deserves a shot. But if I'm honest, Rob, if Füllkrug isn't fit, I would start Kudus up front.
Okay.
I actually, I know that might not happen, but I actually feel like Bowen is much better out wide. And I actually think Kudus is probably a stronger player. I would say he's quicker. And I think he could hold the ball up a little bit better. So that's who I'd go for. But we're going to need to play really well tomorrow. And I really hope we can get a positive result. And I think we can. I think Somerville deserves a shot. And hopefully Paqueta can, he's had the kick up the arse by being dropped last week, and he can pull the strings.
Fair enough. Just supposing your 11 starts tomorrow against Chelsea, Ben. So this is the next question to ask. Which West Ham player then is the key, in your opinion? Is it one of the names you've mentioned, like a Kudus, a Paqueta, or is it someone maybe that you've not mentioned that you think could be actually the sort of like the keys to success, getting 3 points?
All throughout. It's the spine of the team, really, Rob, isn't it? Like Kilman settled in really well. So Kilman's going to be key. Paqueta, I actually think Paqueta's our key man tomorrow, because I just want to see him. I want to see us trying to control the game a little bit more, Rob. I know Chelsea will probably have more possession than we have, but I'd like to see us try and, at home, try and implement our game. And what I want to see, Rob, is we're 5 games in. I know things take time, but the reality is we haven't really seen Lopetegui's style come into it much yet, in my opinion. And I'd like to see that tomorrow. And if we give it a good go, we've got a good chance. And but even if we lost, you want to see us giving it a good fucking go.
Before we come on to...
Well, sorry, Rob, just one more thing. I think it's important to get some more points on the board. I know that's quite an obvious statement to make, but it'll be our 5th game tomorrow. And I would say, if you looked at the first 4 games, 4 points was probably what you might have expected. Do you know what I mean? If you looked at Villa, Palace, Man City, Fulham, you would have thought, wow, well, it'd be nice to get 6 points, 2 wins, and maybe a draw. But actually, 4 points is probably the minimum I would have wanted. So you're looking at it now thinking, well, the table starts taking shape. I mean, it's City and Arsenal at top of the league already. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, let's go out there and really try and get some points on the board. And even if it's a draw, I'd probably take a draw just to keep the unbeaten run going.
Fair enough. That's fair comments to make. So before we get to the question of what would be your score prediction, I think it's probably a good moment to just say to people that are watching, either live or at their own leisure afterwards. Obviously, I've given the team news for West Ham. The only doubts we've got are over Emerson and Nicholas Füllkrug. They're both going to be assessed ahead of the game to determine their availability. Whether they'll be on the bench, whether they'll start, or whether they're not involved at all remains to be seen. All things are possible. As far as Chelsea are concerned, definite absentee is Reece James, definitely out. But as far as the other players who are on the injured list are concerned, Romeo Lavia, Enzo Fernandez, and Kiernan Dewsbury all are possibly going to be involved in some way, shape, or form. And I'm also led to understand that there's a chance that Malo Gusto might even be involved. So if you're interested in any of the news from the opposite side of the fence, that's that taken care of. So with all that being said and done, Ben, we've obviously gone through the other questions. We then have the final question that we need to ask, which is, what is your score prediction? If you're watching this live, or indeed afterwards, please feel free to get your thoughts on that one known.
I think, to be honest, Rob, I think we could see a high-scoring game tomorrow. So I'm going to go for, and this is maybe my heart going over the head slightly, I'm going to go for 3-2 to us.
So you see it being quite an open and entertaining game.
Yeah, I do, mate. And what I'm hoping, I feel like I want to see our set pieces. I think we've got some big old lumps, Kilman, Mavropanos, you know what I mean? Some big old lads in there, and Füllkrug. So I'd like to see, start using the set piece weapon that we've got as well.
Fair enough. We've got a few score predictions coming in. Obviously, Michael there has gone 4-2, so it probably means that it's going to be a scoreless draw. Thanks for that, Michael. You Jonah. Larry says it's going to be 2-1 to the Hammers, as does WHUCHE, who you'll notice is there resplendent with his spanner because he got promoted to one of the moderators. So welcome aboard, WHUCHE. And as I say, Fremmer's gone for a Desmond. And he also says that he reckons it will be a tight game, though it won't be one that we'll sort of win quite handily. As far as I'm concerned, I'll be brutally honest. I actually think we're going to get beat. And I know that one of the I do. My heart obviously says something different, but I have to go with my head. My heart always has to trump my head as far as I'm concerned. But, if I think about it logically, I do think Chelsea are favourites for a reason. I think that, don't get me wrong, I hope I'm proved wrong, 100%. I don't want to be right about this prediction. I really don't. But do I think that we're going to overcome Chelsea? Look, I've not been overly impressed with the start we've made this season. I think there's been a commonality about all of the games in that all of the games, our first half performance has been not the best, and that's being very kind about it. Yeah. And our second half performance has been an improvement on the first half. But whether that's going to be enough against Chelsea, if they hit their straps, and if they that game against Fulham, if they'd have had a better striking lineup, that game would have been over by half time, right? Yeah. Same as the game the previous season. And I do think that Chelsea are a better team than Fulham. So is it inconceivable that they could, if we're not quite at it and they manage to just sort of, come out firing, is it possible that they could take the game away from us early doors? Yeah, I believe they could.
Right. What I'm hoping for, Rob, is that, like I say, we've got a new manager. He's still trying to understand who he can rely on and the team, different partnerships.
Oh, yeah.
What is interesting, Rob, is that neither of us have Antonio in our starting 11, and that's with that's even if Füllkrug isn't fit. What I will say and go back to, Rob, is that actually Danny Ings, he probably won't start, and he'll be unlucky, but because he's come on and nicked a point for us, so that would be unlucky. But what I'd like to think, Rob, is that
We do have a question that Michael submitted earlier. I did star it, Michael. I didn't ignore it. He's asked a question. Why have we bought all of these players so far this season to not use them?
Look, I think we are using them to a certain extent. But Fulkrug was injured. Wan-Bissaka's been playing. Soler's. We people have got to try and acclimatise to the Premier League, and we bought a few of these players a bit later on in the transfer window. So look, I think everyone's going to play their part, and hopefully, I'm excited to see Soler in a West Ham kit. I think he can be a good technician, and like I say, I want to see Somerville start tomorrow. And I think if Somerville starts, I think he could nick a couple. I think he's a fucking good player, and he's quick. He's good in front of goal, and hopefully we can nick him on the break and get Somerville off the, get his goals started in a West Ham shirt.
Any other business before we knock it on the head, bruv?
Only to say, looking forward to the game, and hope we can nick the 3 points.
Good to hear. Right, before we knock it on the head, I'm just going to turn my attention back to the poll, and I'm going to hit end poll for you people that have voted so far. The results are in. We have, with 7%, an away win, with 35%, a draw, which means, if your maths is any good, 57% of the West Ham massive population have voted that it will be a home win tomorrow. And as I say, I hope with all my heart that you are right and I am wrong. And anyway, as I say, guys, please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are new around here, and don't forget to hit the bell icon for alerts and new content. Remember, guys, all these things you can do help the channel to grow. They are free of charge to you, and they take but a couple of seconds. And we thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. We're going to disappear now. Don't forget to support the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity. Come on, you Irons, and we'll see you next time.
Iron Supporting Food Banks collects food and cash donations for needy families in Newham Borough and beyond. Please consider making a donation via their Just Giving page, the link for which you will find in the description section of this stream. Come on, you Irons.